Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 6. We are nearing the end here, and hopefully you're keeping up with all your work and not running into problems as we are getting close to the point where you should be writing. So let's just get down to it here. Let me share my screen, and we will get started. All right, so looking at week 5, don't have a whole lot of comments in the way of the assignment for this week since we've only gotten about 3 of them in so far, but the 3 that have gotten in, they've done really well, and I'm hopeful everybody else's outlines will look good as well. So what I have noticed, though, is that the amount of points being lost for APA problems is decreasing, which is always a big plus. If you are still losing points for overcapitalization or hyperlinks or publisher information or whatnot, please make sure you're taking a look at the comments and making those corrections moving forward. At this point, you really should have your APA down pat, particularly your reference list that you're going to be turning in with your week 5 assignment. So chances are that will make up the majority of your references for your final project. Another thing that's a big positive is missing assignments are decreasing as well. The folks that are behind are beginning to catch up, and that's really great, especially since we are running toward the end here. And so if you have missing assignments, boy, you really need to make sure that you are caught up by the end of week 6, because you need all of your time and energy and effort put toward your final research paper in week 7. You don't need any other distractors of missing assignments bogging you down. Speaking of the final research project, I'm really going to be stressing to you today about the fact that you need to start writing. So if you have not watched the week 4 Zoom video where I go over the final research project, you need to make sure you go back and do that. I'm not going to touch on it that much this week. I will, of course, go over it one more time next week, but you need to go ahead and make sure you take the time, look at that information from week 4 now, so that way you have it as you begin writing this week. Okay, so as we look ahead, this week is going to be you taking care of the information that will be on your abstract, that as in your purpose statement and your problem statement. And I talked about this last week. I'll go over it again, though, here in just a couple of minutes. But this is also the week you want to go ahead, and if you have not already started writing on your final research paper, you need to add that to your workload for this week. So I know you're thinking, well, I've still got my discussion and I've still got my assignment, and you do. But you're going to need to add this on as well, because if you try to wait until next week to do your 10 to 15 page research paper all in 1 week, you're going to be in for a miserable week, and you probably will not do as well as you should. So plan on starting to write this week. You should have everything lined out, ready to go. Your outline gets approved. You've got all you need. Get writing. All right, so let's take a look at our discussion for this week. So the discussion this week kind of takes a different turn, where we've been looking at public policy issues and getting your viewpoint on it, but now I want to kind of take things to a turn about research papers. And you've been spending a lot of time on this throughout the class, so I kind of would like to think that you've become masters in this area. So my question to you is, what are the key items that make up a good research topic and good research questions? Now, obviously, I want you to make sure you do some research on that, because you do need to provide your 2 scholarly references as always, but you have a viewpoint on this now. I want you to make sure you share that. And what are the things to avoid when formulating good research topics and good research questions? So we've gone through this before. Now it's your turn to go ahead and basically offer up advice for future people who would be working on a project such as this. As always, your initial post is due on Thursday, and your 2 peer responses are due on Sunday. Okay, so as I mentioned last week, your week 6 assignment is going to be you writing a purpose statement and a problem statement. And those are the things I really want you to focus in on. I know that in our assignment, it also talks about writing a set of research questions that align to these statements. I'm not as concerned about that. I want really strong purpose statements and problem statements, because they are going to make up your abstract page. So, as I mentioned last week, your problem statement is really the what, while the purpose statement is more of the why, the how, and the when. And so I had offered up some examples here for you to kind of look at as you think ahead here, and look at how this problem statement is broken down. There's a vision, there's an issue, and then there's a method to solve that issue. And that all builds into the problem statement. But look at the length here. You're talking maybe at best a half a page, all right, at worst, probably about 2 paragraphs. And so this is about the length that you would look for a problem statement. So I know in the assignment it talks about it being a, oh, excuse me, a 3 to 5 page assignment, but that's probably not very realistic. You're not going to need that much in order to be able to do this assignment. So your problem statement, there's a good way to go ahead and break that down as you are looking for a way to develop it. Purpose statements, a little bit different. You know, they're even shorter, but I wanted to provide you with some examples of ineffective purpose statements because these are the types of purpose statements people typically just kind of lean toward because they're just simple, but the problem is they're all too vague or too broad. It doesn't really let the reader understand what exactly we're intending to get out of this research paper. So instead, lean toward ones such as these here. Like I like this. This paper will describe 4 common causes of coworker conflict in organizations and explain how to use a 5-step procedure to constructively manage this conflict. I mean, boom, you know exactly what you're getting into when you read this research paper. This report will explain how supervisors can use 4 planning strategies to improve employee productivity in the workspace. And I know when you look at both these, you think, oh, okay, so you have to number out steps in order for it to be an effective purpose statement. And that's not the case necessarily. It's more of it's more about you explaining what we're to expect as we read through this. Like, particularly as you're going into how to solve the problem, how are we going to solve the problem? Okay, what exactly are we going to do to make things better? The problem statement focuses in on the issue. The purpose statement kind of focuses in more on the solution. And so when you write this, just so we're completely clear about what's expected, you'll have your title page, which should match your title page from your week 5 outline, because that's the title page I want you to use for your final research paper. So your title should be your research question, okay? And then realistically, your problem statement and purpose statement should fit on the same page. I mean, maybe you go to a second page, but you definitely don't need the 3 to 5 pages, okay? And so you can fit them in there. Just make sure you label them properly. I need to be able to tell what's the problem statement and what's the purpose statement. Make that real clear for me. You won't need a reference page. All right, this is probably the one assignment where I'm not looking for references. So you can take that off your list of things that you'd normally need to do. And this is what you're going to use. This information, you're going to have to, ramp it up a little bit and maybe twist it around a little bit, but this is going to be the information you're going to use to build your abstract page for your final research paper, okay? And so that's it. That's what you're working on this week. And so I don't know if you look at this as maybe a lighter workload or not. If it was me and I'm out there, I want to go ahead and knock my discussion question out of the way, get that thing written on like maybe Monday. Tuesday, work on my problem statement. Wednesday, work on my purpose statement. Thursday, go back in, and by then there's going to be some posts. Go ahead and do my peer responses, get those out of the way, submit all that nonsense on Thursday. So then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm writing. I am writing my final research paper. I've got all my work for the week taken care of. I didn't overload myself and make myself just disappear from my family. I took the time to space out my work, so I still had plenty of time in the week to start writing, so next week will not be as bad for me. I need you to go ahead and do the same thing. Some of you are very self-disciplined and are already way ahead of what I'm suggesting. Others are still having to play catch-up from previous weeks. And if you're one of those people, you need to get that stuff done at the beginning of the week, because so much of it builds upon the work that you're going to do for your final research paper. If you're missing bibliographies, how can you possibly do your outline? If you're missing your outline, how could you possibly write your paper? You've got to have all this stuff in. So if you're one of those people I'm talking to that are behind, get caught up right away. Put everything on hold, get your stuff done, so that way you can start writing this week too. Everybody needs to be writing this week. We're talking a 10 to 15 page paper as far as just the body content. So it should not be unrealistic to say you should have 5 pages written by the end of this week, okay? That way you can get 5 more pages done at the beginning of next week, submit it early so you get a chance for feedback and a chance to revise and resubmit if you make major mistakes. But I'll talk about all of that next Sunday. So make sure after you finish watching, you respond. Let me know that you've received this information. If you have any questions, make sure you shoot me an email. let me know. I'm going to be watching for you. Have a great week, and I will talk to you all again on Sunday.